Okay. Anytime now. Anytime now. There we are. Hello, everyone. Hello. Hi. There's one person here. Two people here now. Let's copy. Share the link. I think. Oh, great. It was excellent stream until I started streaming. And then there's already been a burp. Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Feedback Friday Live. Oh, I got to do the song. It's Friday, Feedback Friday, the feedbackiest day of the week. Ha! Jazz hands. Hi, everybody. Let me just share this stuff. Live on YouTube. I think that'll work. It won't actually connect people to the stream. I better check. Uh-oh. I never know how to do these things on YouTube. I think this is a... Hello, Delilah! Hello! Hi, everybody. Just give me a second. I just gotta check stuff. You know what? I'm gonna try it. And if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. Here we go. Okay. Hello? What is it, Delilah? Do you want to come and say hi to everybody? Yeah, come say hi. She's like, wait, what? Come say hi to everybody. Yeah, come here. I'll move the Pringles can that was lunch yesterday. Come on, honey. Oh, here we go. Here's Delilah. Here she is. Hello, hello. Hi, say hi, hello. That looks more like the OG, but yeah, we don't do that. Excuse me. Okay. Here we are. Okay, so we are live for Feedback Friday. We are $390 away from stretch goal 2. Ed actually said that he'll let it go until Friday. Sorry, until 5 o'clock today to reach stretch goal 2. So he cosplays the green meep. And thank you, Marshall. But I'd like to hit it during this stream. So we'll see. This was a tough week in a lot of ways. Not because of the content. The content actually was very well received. It was other stuff in the news that upset a lot of people, and things got crazy on Twitch. I mean, not crazy by Twitch standards, crazy by what I like my user experience to be. And it's nobody's fault. All sides had some valid points, but it's, you know, the Andy Ngo Antifa thing has a lot of people very upset. I admit, including myself. I admit that Andy Ngo thing scared me. It made me very nervous. I am going to be avoiding public events such as that for the foreseeable future because I have been accused of being a white supremacist. It's not true, but it doesn't matter if it's true or not. It matters what people believe. And so I am now not safe in public because I'm an opinion person. I'm a member of the media, and I've been accused of white supremacy. So I'm no longer safe in public, and that's just great. You know, that's where we're at. It's the accusation is all that matters. Evidence doesn't matter because even Vox, there's actually a really good piece on Vox. No one is more surprised than me. But there's a really good piece on Vox about the whole issue and both sides and how some people claim he had it coming, and even Vox won't take that step. What the heck just happened? I just lost my... Did I hit a button? That's weird. Sorry, guys. Give me a minute. I just lost my YouTube thing. Am I still going? Here we go. Live dashboard. Whoa, that was weird. Yeah, here we go. Okay, YouTube is acting buggy today. Fair warning. Basically, YouTube just kicked me out of my own dashboard, but I was still live. So there we go. The one thing I will say, the one thing that Vox did say that slid me back a little bit was the fact that even apparently some wings of Antifa condemn this, condemn what happened to Andy Ngo. But it's still a really chilling thing that points to Vox for acknowledging that Andy Ngo was there as a journalist, even if you think his views are repellent. I don't know what to think of him. There's some things he's written that I really disagree with. But I don't think there's anything wrong with, you guys know how I feel about things. If things are true, the truth eventually comes out. And so partisan journalism is a thing. I don't like it. Go check out the Vox article. They actually talk about the fact that this is not something that Antifa usually does. That there were apparently the last issues with journalists being targeted was Ferguson and Charlottesville. And I always say Charlottesville wrong because there's a Charlottetown up here. So I apologize if I got that wrong. The last time something like this happened was Charlottesville, and it's not, it's apparently not officially in, Oren, I know, in Antifa's mandate, but this is the thing about escalation. And, it's scary. I'll admit it's scary that all that has to happen is you get accused of something. In this case, white supremacy. And in Andy Ngo's case, it didn't matter that he's Asian, and it didn't matter that he's gay. This sort of hive mind kind of took place, and people who were scared themselves got whipped up and decided to, forget due process, forget, court of public opinion, forget judge and jury. We're just going to beat on this guy. That reminds me of stuff that happened in the bad old days. And I admit I'm scared because of the things that people have accused me of. The BDK were talking about Andy Ngo getting surrounded and pelted with milkshakes and silly strings and then beaten bloody. If people claim he incited it for attention, perhaps to an extent that's true. If that's true, they played right into his hand, but I didn't get the sense based on that CNN interview. He admitted that he kept waiting for the cops to intervene and they didn't. I think that, good comparison, Starfish. I think that he's probably going to be a lot more careful in future. That CNN video was heartbreaking, no matter how you feel about the guy. And I admit I wasn't a fan of his, to say the least, before this. I vehemently disagree with a lot of the things he does. If he just stuck to, outing legitimately faked hate crimes, that would be one thing, but he's gone way overboard and, done things like blamed signs against public intoxication in London on Muslims. And if you know anything about, my one side of my family tree, there's, you know, that's what it was. Public intoxication, like excessive drinking, problem drinking is a major problem in the UK and Ireland. It you know, that's why those signs are there, not because of Muslim immigrants. But Oron, that's a good point. Like, it can't, and this is what I confronted somebody with when they were standing by the violence after yesterday's Twitch kind of went sideways. I actually talked to one of the guys who were saying what Antifa did was fine. And I put it to them. Let me put it to you this way. Are you saying that it would be okay for people to beat me up, to give me a brain bleed? And anybody who saw Andy Ngo on CNN, the guy's concussed. The guy is having issues. If you've seen him speak before that interview, that kind of thing, if he's faking that, give him an Oscar. He's in the wrong business. He should be an actor. There you go, Helen. But you know, I haven't heard back from the guy yet. That was just like a half hour before I came on air. So I actually said to him, like, I put it there because that's what this is about for me. If an accusation of something earns you a public beating, where's the line? Who deserves to get beat up and who doesn't? Because there are... What was interesting, and this is why it's important to talk to people, even though, you know, even though, you know, what he was saying freaked me out. I was scared by what he said. I talked to him anyway. And one of the things he brought up as a justification for his views was the Stonewall riots. And that complicates things. I mean, they have been celebrated just this, you know, past week. Now, one could argue, and where I went to right away was hold on, or I'll send it to you after the stream. Where was I going? The thing about the Stonewall riots is that it was spontaneous. It wasn't planned. And that's not the same as Antifa, who shows up looking for a fight. And the Vox article gets into the fact that, and Oren, I apologize, I might be confusing two articles. I'll check it out afterwards. When stuff like this happens, hi Scouty, it takes a relatively unknown figure, in this case Andy Ngo, in previous cases Milo Yiannopoulos and so forth, and it gives them a public profile. CNN would not have interviewed Andy Ngo were it not for this. Oron, I was considering that when I was getting ready for this. I was considering the fact that, you know, 2014, 2015, the whole Gamergate thing was made out to be the worst thing ever. And even though a lot of people were legitimately scared they were going to get hurt, no one ever actually got hurt. And you can't say that about Comicsgate. You can't say that about what happened with Andy Ngo. And it's, well, I mean, Helen, the suffragettes detonated bombs in government buildings. It's, wow, I don't know why some of these messages are being flagged. Sorry, guys. But unlike Twitch, YouTube doesn't say why something is being held. It just holds it. Twitch is a much superior interface, let me tell you. But, you know, when we look at some of the... No, remember the quartering got beat up, moron. He got beat up at Comic-Con, I think last year. But, you know, history's not simple. And people bring up these examples of when violence solved problems. And in truth, all of those examples, even Stonewall. Oh, why is my microphone taking hits? That was annoying. Even Stonewall, these violent instances actually set movements back. Wow, my mic's freaking out. I apologize, guys. They actually set movements back, and they overcome and they achieve, despite those instances that turn violent, not because of them. Yeah, or sorry, I should have defined. I'm talking about the controversies themselves, not a side, because my opinion about these culture war fights is you need two sides to fight. And it's not asymmetric. These culture war things, the problem with them is that they escalate. And it goes from, you know, well, this side used this tactic, so it's okay for us to use this tactic. And it just gets uglier and uglier and uglier. And, you know, the only people who got hurt in Gamergate were people like me who had our freelance rates cut by 125%. The page rates plummeted in games journalism because, sorry, the article rates plummeted in games journalism because so many advertisers ran screaming. Those are the only people that got hurt, the livelihoods of people who didn't have full-time jobs in games writing. So what happens in these culture war instances is when it escalates like this, all it does is confuse the issue. It doesn't actually advocate for a cause. Because when you think about two of the most successful movements ever, from not, you know, the middle class, as Helen pointed out, the middle class revolting against taxation, but an actual, Hans, you can. Sorry, I did get that number wrong, but, it was cut by basically, page rates before Gamergate, per article rates before Gamergate. Thank you for the correction, Hans. Page rates before Gamergate went from $250 an article to $100 an article. And that is going from something where you can kind of earn a living. It's not a great living, but you can earn a living to no, you can't. There's not enough hours in the day to pitch and write enough to make a living off $100 an article. But what I was saying is two of the most successful civil rights and in some cases Odysseus, yes, you do have to pay to get published now. It's the bottom has fallen out on freelance games journalism. You have to do your own travel, you have to cover your own expenses to go to events, and then you don't get paid. You don't get paid at all because there's no money to pay people. So if you're going to an event, you have to pay. You have to pay to go to that event. You have to pay for your admission. You have to pay for your food. You have to pay for your travel. And then you don't get paid. Because a lot of the work now is free. Yes, Hans, I already admitted you were correct. Okay? Holy cow, man. Chill. I'm really tired, by the way, guys, so give me a break. How are sites operating at rates like that, Oron? I'm glad you asked. They're operating because zealots will work for free. People with agendas, people who just want attention, they will work for free. When you cut rates past a certain point, you are getting quality of you are losing quality. You are only attracting people who have an axe to grind or an agenda to push. This was supposed to be a BOSSFIGHT fundraising, by the way. And Oron, I agree. Okay, let's move on, because somebody mentioned another thing I'm guaranteed to get in trouble with. And I've deliberately avoided talking about this precisely because of the accusations that I'm a white supremacist, that this will drift up. And like Chaos, yes, it is. That's why we see such hacky articles, because people don't forget, Oron, these people are Marxists, so there's collectives. That's why there's like, they give out free food, they give out free drinks. People show up to these things to eat. Like, okay, so the Ariel thing. Obviously, I'm affected by this because The Little Mermaid growing up was a big identity thing for me. She was one of the more positive redheaded role models in media at that time, because before that, it's you're Pippi Longstocking, you're Annie, and nobody wanted to be either of those things. Ariel was this. We've got till 5, but I'd like to do it today. I'd like to do it during this stream, Odysseus. We're only 390 from goal. It is sad, Oron, it is, but that's the world today. That's what happens when wages get so stagnated that people work and work and work and fall further into poverty. I still maintain, I've said this a lot, the two main reasons all this culture war stuff is happening are wage stagnation and lack of job security. If people were more comfortable, they'd be less angry about all this stuff. If governments really wanted this stuff to stop, they would get people working in secure jobs for fair wages. That was exactly why after World War II, they wanted, they booted all the women out of the good jobs, the full salary jobs, so the men could come back and have them, because they knew that if those guys didn't have jobs to come back to, there were going to be serious social problems. People, you got to remember there was a terrible Pippi Longstocking cartoon out in the 70s, and it was really like high squeaky voiced and annoying, and so everybody knew that. So Pippi Longstocking was sort of a pejorative of, you're Pippi Longstocking. But yeah, it was, so Ariel was this, Ariel was the film that resurrected Disney feature animation. It was Circle in the Bowl for a while there. Even though I thought Oliver and Company was a super cute movie, I don't think that movie gets enough credit. The Little Mermaid was the rising like a phoenix of Disney feature animation. And, every little girl was going around doing that, even though that's the song she sang when Ursula took her voice. Stop phone. Obviously there's sort of a nostalgia, and so I understand why a lot of people are upset. I kind of joke to one person. It's like, well, we have Anna in Frozen now. She's a redhead, so I guess we can only have one at a time. It's like a percentage of the population thing. We're such a small number of people, like us actual gingers, that and then I realized that's really what it is. Disney is calibrating these characters so that little girls will buy overpriced, crappily made cosplay dresses. And they probably saw that Ariel wasn't selling. Is it Ariel or Ariel? I don't know. But they probably saw that the Little Mermaid dresses weren't selling. Now, part of it is because she's far too naked by modern standards. So they have to give her a new costume so that it's not lewd to dress up like a mermaid. I see more and more of her in in her landlubber dress. But I really think it's just a cynical business tactic that, so I was saying it right, Ariel. Okay. But I really think it's a cynical business tactic. There's more. So somebody's saying Ariel. So we have a dispute. These long A's versus short A's. And Starfish, I'm explaining why. So it is Ariel. Okay. This is why. It's a numbers game. Okay? It's a numbers game. Fewer people identify with gingers because we're a tiny percentage of the population. And so from a business perspective, it's better to change the character to something with more of a base of girls who look a certain way to dress up in that dress. Belle sold like crazy, partially because that ball gown was so iconic, that yellow ball gown. But also, there are a lot of little brunette girls out there. Why they don't have more, I guess Elsa is the blonde character. Blonde little girls can be Elsa, but Tiana probably wasn't selling. There are Zen. I knew a black person with red hair. I did know a naturally. There's a population in Uganda who are red haired, but gingerphobia is still real. I remember a quote that everybody thought was super complimentary that was attributed to Bill Clinton, that there are two types of redheads, gorgeous fucking redheads and ugly fucking redheads. And people used to say this to me all the time, like it was some sort of flattery. And it's like, the problem is that's the binary. We're either considered these terrifying, agents of evil, or we're fetishized. Like, ironically, we share a lot of stereotypes in common with black women. And I think that's part of the reason that there's all this flipping, is the character is feisty and breaks down barriers and all that stuff. So I think that's part of the reason, because Hollywood loves its stereotypes. But that's how I kind of feel that existing animated movie will exist. These live action animations, the last two have not done terribly well. Dumbo didn't do well at all. Aladdin was eh. They have high hopes for Lion King. I think that might be because, like Beauty and the Beast, there actually was a stage musical. Anne of Green Gables, Gareth, that's one of those things where it's like every Canadian sort of grew up with the Megan Follows Anne of Green Gables, and now they're doing this new one, and I can't get my head around it because it's a nostalgia thing again. So I know a lot of people who like the new Anne series, but Megan Follows, she wasn't a natural redhead, but she just sort of embodied that character, and the supporting cast on the original Anne of Green Gables was so good. But getting back to the whole Disney thing, I'm not getting too bent out of shape about it one way or the other, just because Aladdin didn't do great, Dumbo didn't do great. My understanding is these are ways, and yes, the live action Lion King, that's just CGI. But I really think it's, there's some, it makes sense that they're doing this just to renew the copyright on a lot of these things so that they can keep control over it. So, yeah, that's kind of what, that's an interesting conspiracy theories about this stuff. And Dragon Water, I maintain, and I felt this way about comic books. I agree with you. I think they should be, or on it, there might be something to that. But I do think it's better. I mean, look at the reaction to Black Panther, right? Huge cultural phenomenon. I do really believe that different groups need characters who are theirs from the very beginning. You know, instead of being the Black Superman or the Black Wonder Woman, or there shouldn't be that, you know, Jon Stewart is the Black Green Lantern. There shouldn't be that qualifier. That's othering. People of different races need their own characters who are theirs and who are the default state for that character. And I think that's because they do show that for kids having characters that look like them is far more important than even teenagers or adults. That's sort of an important plaything. And so I do think that different people of different races and different ethnic backgrounds deserve characters that are the default, right? Like, the reason Black Panther was so huge, that even though it was created by a couple of Jewish guys, there's so much, like, the more modern comics have incorporated so much cultural stuff. And, like, Chaos, that's an interesting question. When do kids get the overweight, nerdy white guy hero? I thought that was a real missed opportunity in Big Bang Theory. I thought that was Hollywood not being willing to go there. Some people claim that people like Homer Simpson are that character. There's plenty of overweight white guys on TV, but that's not a nerd. And I did really think that that it was a missed opportunity on Big Bang Theory to not introduce that kind of character. There's a lot of, like, big guys in comedy. And so that's sort of been, I guess the closest you could really get is Kung Fu Panda. And, like, Chaos, maybe you'll be okay with that because that's a furry thing. But that's sort of, he's kind of nerdy. He doesn't quite fit in. He's awkward, you know. But Odysseus, yeah, because the, yeah, Sam is an author self-insert, not sort of the main character. I think that's what, like, Chaos was going for, is a lead character, not a supporting character. Yeah, sorry, I'm reading it. Yeah, see, Thor at Endgame was controversial. People flipped out over that. I thought it was... First of all, it does come from the comics. That actually was an arc. People really kind of lost it. And that's why I'm glad they did it. I think that the fact that... Let's face it, a lot of women did not go see Thor because they loved the character or the story. They went to look at him. So I thought that taking the character and evolving him that way, in a way that's what happens to guys when they get older. It's harder. I mean, a lot of the reason these guys have to stop, these actors have to stop doing those parts, is they can't keep up the dieting. It's not a natural state. And once they get, it's harder. It's a lot harder for women past 30. It's a lot harder for men past 40. When you start getting closer to 50, it's really, really, really difficult to keep that low body fat percentage. And so I like the fact that they found a way to allow Chris Hemsworth to continue. First of all, he clearly loves comedy because he takes every crappy comedy role he's offered. But, you know, to evolve the character so he can stick around, it's kind of impossible to do with Captain America because the super soldier serum. But with digital, you should be able to do anything you want. But with Robert Downey Jr., he'd just done so many movies. Oh my God, he'd done his time. Let the guy do other things. Yeah, I liked the fact that they were able to keep Thor that way because he does have a really good comic bent. Thor adds something to the Marvel Cinematic Universe that I think is worth preserving. I'm really gonna miss other Chris Evans as Captain America. I really thought he was wonderful in that part. His little interstitials where he was doing those cheesy, hey kids, drink milk kind of things, I thought really added tangible details to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But the truth is that Iron Man, in terms of dialogue, can just be replaced by Doctor Strange and nothing is lost. They really started replicating those, you know, those asshole characters. Dragonwater says it would have been nice that it wouldn't be nice that they, or it wouldn't be nice if they hadn't play it off like every crappy insult men and especially overweight men get daily. See, part of my issue with the comedy in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is that it has been quite mean-spirited, and I would prefer this was my issue with Big Bang Theory too. The jokes are just insults that for some odd reason people think are funny. There isn't any art to those jokes. Thank you, Gareth. And I hope kind of going forward that they get smarter with are you factoring in Odysseus the Fantastic Four movie? But, you know, I would like to see the comedy branch out into more of what Thor brought, right? Because he was like, you know, when he's drinking that, what was it, coffee in the morning, and he smashes the mug on the ground and says, that was good, another, like a guy at like a Norse lodge, you know, at long tables. Thor has such a unique character voice. Hey, Mr. Fizzy. Thor had such a unique character voice that I thought actually started getting eroded around Joss Whedon, and they're bringing it back now. Like Chaos and everybody else who talked about Big Bang Theory, to me, based on my own experience, the Big Bang Theory was for baby boomers who thought they could finally understand their kids, but it just gave them license to continue to think we're weird. My mother loved the Big Bang Theory, and it's like, great, it's so funny. Great, Mom, you're now laughing at every bully who picked on me in childhood. Like, that's sort of the problem with Big Bang Theory a lot. I will not miss that show. But, you know, Thor, getting back to Thor's comedy, Joss Whedon really eroded the wonderful character voice they had put into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Those those origin stories they did in that first wave were freaking brilliant. You can watch them again and again and again and again and continue to see like little new details. The Avengers films, the Whedon films, Ragnarok was amazing. Dragon Water, agreed, but that wasn't an Avengers film. The Whedon Avengers films watered that down because Joss Whedon, to quote Yahtzee, has no understanding of character voice. Every single one of his characters sounds the fucking same. And so there was a classic moment in the Avengers film where there was like, they were going on about Loki, who they completely broke character for that first Avengers movie. But, you know, it's like, Thor's like, he is a son of Asgard. And I think it was Black Widow goes, you know, he killed 8 million people. And Thor goes, he's adopted. Wrong joke, wrong joke, wrong joke. Because what do Asgardians do? They conquer worlds. They kill people. They don't conquer worlds, but you know what I mean. They are the master race. The correct joke, because of the first Thor film where he had to learn to humble and not be that guy, is, you know, he killed 8 million people. He is a son of Asgard. Like, that's the right joke, not he's adopted. Like, ugh. Bad writing, just bad writing. And people don't see that. You know, Joss Whedon snuck a really nasty, sexist comment in wherever he possibly could. Right of Prima Nocte, mewling. I'm not even going to say the word because it shouldn't have been in a PG-13 movie. Not that the word should never be used. I know it is a British word. I know it's used all the time. But that was a PG-13 movie. And he basically called her a see you next Tuesday. Loki, the guy who's closer to his mother than his father, I kept thinking, Freya better show up and smack that out of his mouth. Because she wasn't, spoiler alert, you know, dead yet. But, you know, it totally broke the character. Because the whole thing about Loki was he was so desperate for his father's approval and he couldn't get it. So in that first movie, he just let go. Like, the villain of the original Thor was not Loki, it was Odin. And I like the fact that they were making Loki this guy who could never win. And he was sort of an interesting, complicated person. Thank you, Gareth. But, you know, then you get to Ragnarok. And it was just so good. It was so goofy. It was so I think they called her Freya in the movies. I could be wrong though. But Thor Ragnarok was just so joyous. And I love Meek. You know, the little purple guy? My favorite part of what was it? The most recent one. Endgame? Was that it? I can't keep them straight. But because Oron, Joss Whedon makes every villain himself. Spike is him. His version of Loki is him. All his villains are him. That's Joss Whedon's inner voice. Like, that's what people need to understand. That is what goes on in that dude's head. First murder victim. His own mother, Spike. Like, that shit's scary. But, you know, my favorite part of Endgame was when they discover Thor, you know, holed up as Hermit. But, you know, and they're on, Meek's on the couch, little purple guy's on the couch, eating pizza. He's eating pizza, and he's eating pizza a different way every time they go back to him. So one moment he's eating it normally, and then he's eating it backward, and then he's eating it sideways. My favorite part of the whole movie. I am not kidding you. I loved that. I'm like, he's eating pizza! And I just go back and watch the pirated, like, the cammed YouTube clip of Meek. And it's like, he's eating pizza! And it's the greatest thing. It's my favorite part in the whole thing. Yeah. That. I have to sort of look for the things I like in those ensemble Marvel films, because I just don't, I don't tend to enjoy them. Guys, we're not talking about the actual myth. We're not talking about the actual Norse myth. We're talking about the Americanized versions of the myth, and people don't like to say frig in America. It's too giggle worthy, so they make it Freya. Nah, or on the Xander Fitz character, I think who he'd like himself to be, but he's not. I think the reason that Spike became so kind of fangirls treated like he was dreamy, because there was something true. I mean, do you notice that, you know, Spike and then Angel turns evil because of sex? Dude's got a problem. Yes, Sunseal. Yes, Meek eating pizza is like watching Gur do anything in Invader Zim. That is a perfect comparison. Perfect comparison. You are right. That is true. And I mean, there were some cute parts in Endgame. My favorite ensemble Marvel film is still Civil War. It just, you know, structurally, it just worked more. It wasn't the comic at all, which was a little confusing, but yeah, there's just too much going on in those Avengers things. Like Chaos, remember when Angel turned evil? Him and Buffy finally have sex and he turns evil and then he's like Angelus and it was creepy. Like, there's a lot of creepiness in those old Buffy shows. Okay, guys. Yeah. Angel from Buffy. Oh, no, he turned evil because of happiness. What does that say? Again, Joss Whedon gave us his entire psych profile. You know, he should have turned evil when he realized he was in love with Buffy, not when he had sex with Buffy. That just shows the immaturity of the writer. Like, Oran, I think you're right by accident. I think the reason that worked, again, is because Joss Whedon is in a state of arrested development. All right, good way to watch this. Joss Whedon is in a state of arrested development, so he can connect to the adolescent mindset very, very well, because a large part of his brain is still very adolescent. And yeah, happiness makes a man evil. It's still awful. Like, it's a convenient thing to have Joss Whedon work out his own inner demons through his characters. It's like, as a plot twist for a cheeseball quasi-soap opera teen vampire series. Yeah, and that showed Boreanaz could actually act, right? Before that, he didn't have very much to do. So, you know, as a plot twist, especially an 80s style, you know, Saturday morning cartoon plot twist, whatever. But we gotta, when you look at the body of Joss Whedon's work, nobody saw there was a problem there. Like, seriously? What are my favorite cheeses? Where'd you go, Scout? I mean, any high quality cheese, right? I tend to prefer a medium cheddar to a mild cheddar, because mild cheddar doesn't taste like anything. It depends on what it's served with, right? Wow, Gareth, you're just tipping like crazy. Yeah, no kidding, Starfish. Use D&D as therapy like everybody else does. Oron, yeah, it makes sense, but the idea that sex is the ultimate happiness instead of it actually being love, like, what, he realizes he loves her after they have sex? No, he was in love with her before that. I did a show called Fromage, but it's like cheesy Hans, like cheesy music videos because we didn't want to call them bad. Oh, aged Swiss with grapes. That's tasty. Oh, that extra credits video. Yeah, I did. Oh, habanero Monterey Jack cheese like chaos, best thing in the world. I did see that extra credits video. I admit I didn't understand it. I didn't understand what they were going for. It seemed like somebody was just having a bad day and they missed. Oh yeah, because sex as teenagers really validates that a relationship is real. I know, guys, you are telling me all the canon stuff. I'm just thinking at it critically, and it turned out, I had issues with that plot line and some of the other things he did before he came out as a creeper. So I was like, oh, Baby Bell with black cherries, that's good. But yeah, like Chaos, don't watch that extra credit video. One thing they teach you in entertainment is they can't all be your best girl. Sometimes you just miss. And go watch their video on Skinner boxes. It's much better. I'm not totally on board with that one, but it was thought-provoking. So I think they do make one major mistake in it. But yeah, I didn't... See, I didn't understand the point they were making because once again, they're treating it as if putting someone in a playable character with negative qualities is normalizing or glorifying, glamorizing a bad thing. And I'm choosing my words very carefully here because I'm thinking this out. That you could see that, protagonist bias is a thing. But when it's a game, and like on Twitch, I was talking about the Overlord games. And when it's a game, it's not the same thing. Because in Overlord, you're being a bad person. Like when you play as a bad person. Yeah, thank you, Oron. I should have thought of that too. But when you're playing a bad person in a video game, the whole mechanic is play as a bad person. Meaning everything you do in order to get the character right, you are acknowledging to yourself, this is a bad thing. And I mean, the only thing I can compare it to, because I admit, I've never played a game where all of a sudden, bam, you're a Nazi. Like I couldn't relate to that at all. And I'm thinking about Dragon Water. My favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe film might be the original Captain America because it's a Steve McQueen homage. And that's really ironic with this conversation. I really, really enjoyed Black Panther 2. I liked it a lot. I like the battle rhinos. And I just like the costumes. I like the art direction. I just thought it was wonderful. I didn't see that, Helen. I just thought it was wonderful spectacle. And that's what I hope for in those movies. But getting back to this whole thing, I've never played a game where all of a sudden you play as a Nazi. But in Tropico 6, there's a whole thing where it's the Allies and the Axis, right? And sometimes it cynically benefits you to ally with the Axis. And we all know who the Axis is, right? And I felt creepy doing it. I knew that it was in character for this horrible island despot to ally with a group like that, because it happened, right? But in that way, the game is forcing you to basically be a Nazi sympathizer, but it worked. You know, it didn't normalize Nazis because, again, you're playing as a terrible person. But that game really, there were certain things I just could not do. I did not feel right. There's one part where they force you to do things like, instigate martial law, and another one where you have to issue a contraception ban, and I turned those things off the minute I could. You can't turn off the martial law thing once you start it. Yeah, okay, like Chaos, I think that's what they were going for, but to me, it's just like, that's no different than ending up as Locust in Gears of War. It's different when you end up as Covenant in Halo multiplayer, because, well, you don't actually do that, do you? But, like, Arbiter was cool. So, Dragon Water, you're missing out. It's a good movie. I really don't know what you're talking about, but I know that's your thing, to just be angry at a ton of things. So, hey, Blair. And yeah, as much as there are consequences for anything in Tropico, the Allies do have a superior army in Tropico. You do not want the Allies mad at you. Tropico 6, because Caribbean Island Dictator Simulator 6 is too wordy. Exactly. Yeah, Ari, I agree. They're much better. And even with their, even with some of their game design discussions, they have a profoundly different definition of RPG than I do. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. The whole idea of Nazis in a video game is they're the one human enemy that nobody feels bad killing. And I think that making people play as a villain, a decidedly bad person, and I mean, let's face it, if we look at it from a game design perspective, everything in team-based multiplayer is just shirts and skins. You guys know what I mean about that? You guys know what I mean when I say shirts and skins? Back in the old days when you were on the playground, and you had to determine, like, teams quickly. One group just took off their shirts. I played with guys, so I was always on the shirt side. They considered me that way. But, like, the way they determine teams is just, okay, half of y'all take off your shirts, and now we have an easy way to know who's on whose team. And that's all that, red versus blue. It's the same thing. You wear different colored armbands or headbands when you're playing some, backyard sports stuff. That's all this stuff does in multiplayer. It indicates whose team is on whose. And that's all these multiplayer cosmetics are, right? That's it. And it's getting down into this thing. This is where I came up with the idea of the performative gamer gaze. That gamers look at this, and that's very interesting, BDK. I'm glad people know that metaphor, because I thought it might be a bit dated, because now you're not allowed to even show ankle. Gamers look at that and go, all right, it's just a way to demarcate teams, right? It's just a way, okay, you're on this team, you're on this team. Multiplayer does break ludonarrative immersion to an extent. It's very hard. It's very hard not to break ludonarrative immersion in multiplayer. God of War Ascension, which nobody played, unfortunately, and I don't know why. Probably did it the best that I've played. But one of the reasons I don't tend to enjoy multiplayer is it always feels like it kind of breaks immersion. I don't want to play a Locust in Gears. Okay, I don't. You play multiplayer to play with your friends. It's the backyard football for not athletic people. You know, all of us have allergies or we burn and bruise very easily. And so we don't go and play sports ball. We play that. So it's not normalizing Nazis because people who play those games know you are not, there is nothing relevant to what you have to do in a multiplayer instance that makes, you know, that Nazi skin significant. Garrett, that's kind of what I like about the Metro games is why not communists versus Nazis? What Command and Conquer tackled the Eastern Front? There has not been enough Eastern Front games. And yes, Sunsealed, that's the other thing. There was a draft. But yeah, like that's that. Yeah, Nerdball. I like that, Buddha. But yeah, that's sort of where we're at with that. This is the thing about gaming is that there you go. Today Life is Good. Like a lot of people, and that was why back in the day when wars were over, they were over. Like, cause everybody had to fight. Everybody knew it wasn't, everybody, well, Hans, they do it in games like Call of Duty because they don't want to create new art assets. You know, they don't want to create new art assets, so they just use what they have. Yeah, strategy does have a lot of Eastern Front games, I think, because the maps are interesting. But yeah, it's just, it's shirts versus skins over and over and over again in multiplayer. And most people know that. Like, just because you end up on Team Nazi in Call of Duty. And let's face it, for a long time, Call of Duty wasn't World War II, so this was not an issue. I just find this all really foolish. And a failure to acknowledge that people who are gaming enthusiasts come at games, and even people who just play casually, they know that playing as a character in a certain costume doesn't make it so. You know, like that's like claiming that musical number in The Producers normalizes Nazism. The whole point, it's Mel Brooks. The whole point was to take the most horrible thing you can think of and make a musical out of it. And I don't think you could even get that musical made today. If that came out now, they'd be, because they actually use the swastika in the production. It was intended to be, isn't this awful, over the top awful, because the whole idea was they were, oh dear, Hans, that must have been a wreck. But the whole idea was it's supposed to be kind of shocking because he was trying to lose money and it ended up being successful. And that was the commentary. That was the satire, that you can take the most horrible thing in the world and shine it up. And some people will go, well, isn't that fun? And BDK, I agree. I agree that is an issue. It would. I mean, it just shows how it's a product of the times. Were you really, Starfish? That's a pretty cool history teacher. Because see, that's a lesson. By telling that story, it shows you learn something. See, Viennicus, it's not just that they're not real. Video games make you confront the awful in life in a way that movies and TV shows can't. Because, well, yes, there is still a safe distance in the games. In movies and TV shows, you're not the person who has to push the button. And in video games, properly designed video games, you're the person that has to push the button. I mean, that's literally the big twist in Spec Ops: The Line, right? And so being the guy or the gal, guy being a gender neutral term here, being the guy that pushes the button. Odysseus, I end up singing Everyone's a Little Bit Racist to myself a lot lately. But in being the guy that pushes a button in a video game, I find it makes me much more thoughtful regarding the actions in the game. I interface with it in a completely different way, and that has made me more thoughtful about the movies and the television shows that I consume. I've started looking at movies and television shows as if they were games, and how I would feel about something if this was something I encountered in a video game where I actually had choice and some sort of control over the outcome. And I think that's made me a more discerning consumer of media. And that's not because of the social justice types in games. That's because the games themselves. It's because the actual format. It's the utterly brilliant design I have been able to experience that made me very thoughtful about the things I was doing in games. And Grand Theft Auto does that to an extent that I don't like the Grand Theft Auto games. I much prefer the Saints Row games. They're just more to my taste. But all of those crime games, make you really learn a lot about yourself because everything is permitted. Now, what do? Are there still lines you won't cross? And in the lecture I was doing yesterday, when somebody asked me, what's a sexist game you still enjoy? And I couldn't really think of one. But I said, I'll tell you a little instance of bad behavior that happened in a game. And I told the story of how I try not to run over pedestrians in crime games, except for Saints Row 3, when there was that twist and the town rebelled against the Saints and people were carrying Shondi as a whore signs, and I just ran them over. And the class got a real chuckle out of that. And I said, that told me a lot about me, where my buttons are, where my triggers are. It's like, you're insulting my friend. And in a world like that, it's a noble act in the terms of the world of Saints Row, but you wouldn't do it now because it's just different, right? Starfish, I tried to follow the traffic laws in LA Noire because it just felt more immersive to me. And oh my God, it took so long to get anywhere that I just gave up. That's one of the things about Grand Theft Auto style games. In Watch Dogs, the radio stations were really good for like the first 20 hours and then it got repetitive. But no like music or cars or anything like Chaos, exactly. But none of those keep you engaged tactics in the world is enough for me to sit in traffic. I used to live much closer in Toronto. The DVP was a real thing. Oh, really, Helen? Okay, that'll be interesting for me to try because I need a few games like that I can example. And BDK says, my experience with any game with that sort of driving and crime generally starts with carefully following traffic laws and ends with deliberately doing maximum damage without wrecking. That's the point of those games. And see, I do not know why so-called progressives do not embrace this. Here we go. Prepare to have your mind blown. I might be totally overselling this, but this might be a good thing to close on. a lot of, people who end up in gangs, people who end up in crime, it's environmental, right? It's geographic. Thanks, Gareth. You don't have other options. The best option you have in some of these hoods is, and hey, I came from one, I can use those terms. But your options are what? Because you're in a crappy school, meaning you're not going to get into a college and you don't have the money or the credit. Oh, hey, guys, we're $240 from goal now. Only $240. Thanks, whoever donated. But your options are basically crappy job where you're poor forever, basketball, music, or join a gang. And sometimes it's not, it's all of the above or multi of the above. And so I don't understand why so-called progressives in gaming don't embrace these sorts of games and say, these things are walking like billboards for prison reform, that we should be addressing the underlying social issues and not criminalizing poverty. And instead of doing that, they take what is essentially the conservative viewpoint, which is nope, crime, nope, crime, nope, criminal, you go to jail, criminal wrong, criminal bad. And this is where the horseshoe effect comes in, right? Like the horseshoe effect is real. Because I look at these I look at these crime games and go, like, we were talking about Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I maintain that is the best Grand Theft Auto game ever, by far, because the narrative actually contextualizes the gameplay in a much better way than any of the others. And a lot of people agreed with me there, and I thought I was saying something that, was going to get dismissed. I don't sound like Joe Biden anymore. Yeah. I mean, I'll make it very clear, because of where I grew up, because of what I saw, because of what I observed, because I saw legitimately good people who just did not get the same opportunities. Like, they were never going to have them because of the way our society works that isn't fair. I can't unsee that growing up. I mean, I remember girls I went to school with, and these girls were brilliant. I was so, like, in awe of them. I looked up to them. They exuded confidence. They were aggressive, and to me they seemed powerful and really in control, and I was vaguely terrified of them, but I was absolutely in awe of these young women. And one day a bunch of them said to me, no screwing around. One of them actually said, no fucking. I'm like, what? No fucking. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she said, because you can get out. You can get out. I'm like, what do you mean we can all get out? And they did not have the perception that because they were black, they didn't have the money to pay. We all came from poverty, so they didn't have the credit to get private loans. They didn't think there were very many options for them. And sadly, a lot of those women, brilliant, strong women, ended up as teen moms. Because their mom was a teen mom and their grandma was a teen mom, and it was the profound unfairness of seeing these brilliant, powerful women. And to this day, I don't know if it was quote unquote real or just what had been drilled into them that they do not have hope. A few of them went off and did very, very well. Every time I see Julie Black in the media, I'm like, now Julie, I only went to middle school with. This was high school where these conversations happen. But I'm like, go Julie! Because like, you got out! You know, it's one of those things. But it's to see that, and to not have that be something on TV, to not have that be something, you know, in an after school episode, as we used to, a very special episode of some after school special, that stays with you, you know. And I think, unfortunately, for a lot of people on the left, these so-called social justice things are an academic exercise for them. It is just their way of building their self-worth, their self-image, their self-esteem. A lot of these people went to white schools, in white districts, in good neighborhoods. They went off, they went to college. They have a massive amount of academic privilege. And the reason they're in games journalism right now is because they had the right friends who had the capital to start up a website. And so they had a job basically given to them through cronyism. That's everything they claim to stand against, but it is absolutely their own personal narrative. And I think that's why so much of what happens in the games press seems insincere. Because I maintain, I say this all the time, if the games press actually put their money where their mouth was, their staffs wouldn't look like a bunch of white guys with a few token hires from okay, there's one black guy, there's maybe two women, one of whom is trans, right? Oh, you got a couple of gay guys, you got a lesbian somewhere. But they're not actually practicing what they preach. They're not actually cultivating a diverse workforce. And it's impossible for people to believe that they actually think we have $240, Oleg, until at the Sock Cosplays. We're not there yet. $215. I don't know why Kickstarter's not refreshing. Probably because I'm streaming. But this is the thing that drives me crazy about the left in gaming. They're telling everybody else they should be doing it. They're not doing it themselves. And I get in a lot of trouble for continuing to say this. But yeah, as Hans said, the staff of Kotaku makes a frat in Alabama look diverse. And that pisses me off because, thanks, Gareth. You can't scold everybody else if you're not walking the walk, right? Talking the talk just pisses people off if you don't walk the walk, because I'm telling you, based on where I grew up, you know, the reaction of people like that. I've got a friend who was very successful in the 1990s doing arts diversion programs with you know, youth in Jane Finch. And she's a woman of color. They kept hiring these white women with college degrees, with masters and PhDs, to come and speak to these kids who were children of immigrants. Some of them were refugees, a lot of trauma. They had a lived experience that these college-educated white women did not understand because they did not come from there. And I remember, I love The Beat with Ari Melber on MSNBC, and he has a lot of hip-hop artists on. That dude is actually moving the needle. Why? Because he brings hip-hop acts. He brings black culture into political punditry and treats it like it's legitimate. And man, is it different is it a different point of view? And I remember them playing this one video where the guys are like, Ari, we know what he doing because he know what we doing. And it's just like, I love the poetry of the street. I love it. Like, those are the sorts of voices that we need in gaming. Those are the sorts of fresh takes we need. Not because people are automatically going to agree with them, just because it's different. And the fact that we keep hearing, ooh, it's going to rain. We keep hearing the same 3 or 4 opinions cycled through different mouths because there is truly no diversity within the games press. The only way you get those jobs is you might look different, but you have to think and sound the same. And people where I come from called those bananas. You're colored on the outside, white on the inside. Color is probably the wrong word, but you know what I mean. And so it's, unfortunately, college, instead of teaching you how to think for yourself, instead of teaching you to think freely, college just seems to pump out the same thoughts over and over and over again. And that's the problem with requiring citations for anything you're doing. The college system means you're not allowed to have an idea that somebody else didn't have first because you can't cite it. You can't give it a footnote or an endnote. That doesn't promote free thought at all. And I gotta turn a light in here. It's getting too dark. Excuse me. This is why I wear pants. There we go. Let there be light. All right. And, actually, DX, the first person I heard it from was from a person from, she was she Guyanese? She was West Indian. She was West Indian anyway. So what West Indians, this is like the hierarchy, that goes on. West Indians are not considered black by some within the black community. They consider themselves brown. So, that I'm very interesting that because of Kamala Harris, that is coming up in U.S. politics right now. That is some nuance that we desperately need. Because, man, hey, Patches, I used to watch those class wars from the Caribbean islands just barely avoid erupting all the time in school. It's a heck of a thing, like all the precious few white kids who were in my classes by like grade 12. And Kaz, I absolutely believe that there is a huge black gaming population. Rihanna, this is the problem. Some people are claiming, and Roland Martin just went on a tear over the weekend about this on MSNBC, that some people do not consider someone in America black unless they are a descendant of a slave. Now, we don't have that issue up here in Canada because we have a different, cultural background. Our cultural gatekeeping issue is Indigenous peoples. Yay, PhD astrophysicist. There's a real tension there. It's funny, Jean, you mentioned that because there's a group of people I know. They actually started. They're all a bunch of black girls, but they speak various Asian languages, and so they actually brought in K-rock, K-pop bands, J-pop. Kaz, if you can find that clip, it was for the weekend. He went off because apparently, and yes, Oron, The people in the West Indies are also the product of forced migration, meaning the slave trade. But Roland Martin said he's had people come at him for not being black enough because one grandparent was from the island. And Hans, yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head on that one. That the real issue is what's happening now. You know, we got to fix what's happening now because it's real. And this is why it's so weird I get called a white supremacist. But because I feel so friggin' strongly about there are continuing inequalities. I saw them. I saw black kids get treated differently up here in Canada. Every time they got on a bus, every time they went into the store, our teachers were mostly all right. There were a few who clearly had double standards, but most of our teachers, because of where we were okay. Even though most of them are white, they were pretty egalitarian. But as soon as you stepped outside of school, and so imagine this experience where from like 8:45 to like 3:15, guys, let's not go there. Oleg, please. Like, let's just leave it there. But let me check, Kaz. You want support? No, this is something different. But yes, that's the same. That's the same idea. He was talking about similar. Oops, I just closed YouTube. I'm gonna have to fix that. Similar ideas, Kaz. Not the thing I said. He was actually a panelist on. I believe it was. Crap. I don't remember whose show, but it was on the weekend. But yeah, same ideas because he's been impacted directly by it. But yeah, I mean, like I was saying, my experience as a kid. Imagine watching and just watching, not experiencing it. Imagine being treated like an actual human being. Oh, 90. No, wait. $190 from goal. $190 from goal. And yeah, Brian, it goes both ways. But like, this is what I saw growing up. Kids were treated like equal human beings for the most part. From like 8:45 in the morning, 3:15 in the afternoon. And then they had to go into the real world. You know, when they were going to buy lunch or they were going to take the bus. Black kids were more likely to get stopped for accusations of fare skipping than white kids. And I know kids of all races like shorted on the fare on the bus, but black kids were the one that got stopped. Black kids were more likely to be accused of shoplifting. Black kids were just more visible. They were more perceived as criminals by the business owners in the area. And, you know, from the business owner's point of view, there was a lot of shoplifting. There was a lot of theft. But the kids of all races were stealing. It was the black kids that got stopped. And when you see that, when these people are your friends, it stays with you. And you can't watch people hand wave that stuff away. You know, that's my true views. That's Frederic. No, we didn't have those things. Our neighborhood was too poor to have those programs. Those programs cost money. Okay. And in the really poor neighborhoods, they didn't bother. Right. But yeah, these are the views I actually hold, but according to a bunch of people on the internet, white supremacist. Looking at the, so you said the Harpy, Oron? See the Wind Fury Harpy to me is one of the more subtle changes. They didn't change her much. They just made her look like, they actually made her thicker which I'm okay with. Like, I actually believe those two cards, they actually just, they did change because the art was bad. Which is weird because, do you notice that all three of the Mistress of Pain, the Windfury Harpy, and the Secret Keeper, they all had different body types before. The Mistress of Pain was like ripped. They all gave them essentially the same body type in the redesign. That's what I noticed. Okay, I think, Oran, we're seeing the same thing and coming to different conclusions about it. You're not wrong. It's just the same damn body on every single woman now, instead of different body types. And some people argue, I mean, okay, they have a point that a Fellstalker is actually a better character for what that card does, but Bryant, yeah, have you guys seen the show? Probably not because of the name of the show. Dear White People. The title is somewhat misleading. It's actually about the tensions among like Chaos, we're talking about the Hearthstone card redesigns. Wow, Goblin Hero, that's harsh. Otaku Cat, I can't prove that, but that was my experience too. Yeah, I can Patches, even Patreon doesn't get to the Kickstarter goal. Only Kickstarter contributes to the Kickstarter goal. Let me get the Hearthstone cards up. I'm going to show you my dashboard, unfortunately, with all my tabs open, but here we go. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. So here we go, and I'll it's down here. You see, these are the older cards. So the Succubus, the Mistress of Pain, the Windfury Harpy, and the Secret Keeper got changed. Now, okay, the Secret Keeper is terrible art. I totally support them on that one. The Windfury Harpy, there are some anatomy problems with this card, but it's not as bad as this. So these were the befores. These are the afters. And this is a definite improvement. I mean, that's just messed up. It's bad art. I see what Oran's saying about they've changed it to be less of a carnival costume and more like they did. I see what he's saying. The Queen of Pain, I'm not sure why I think they just renamed the card because there's nothing wrong with this art. I actually like the Mistress of Pain art better than the Queen of Pain art because she just looks like she could like rip someone in two. Like she looks freaking strong. And the Fellstalker is just totally, Succubus felt like totally different. But somebody pointed out that it actually makes more sense. I don't think that's why they did it. There's nothing wrong with the anatomy of this card. It's just, sexy time. So that's what we're talking about here. There we go. Fair point that I show don't tell. There we go. Yeah, they definitely, once again, instead of it being that very rounded look, the Windfury Harpy now looks kind of flattened out. So, yeah, it could be... Yeah, a Fellstalker and a Succubus are different creatures like Chaos, and one person pointed out... one person pointed out that a Fellstalker actually makes more sense for the... yeah, Oleg, it's similar. It's a collectible card game based on the World of Warcraft universe. The what? Goblin? People talked about Clinton's mistresses all the time. But yeah, guys, 190 from goal. Oh, like chaos. That's... See, I have my theories about that. And you're right. I actually think that... See... There is a real problem with beauty standards in that ideal beauty tends to be white. And these changes now, it's making that worse instead of better. Like, it's all moving towards white beauty standards instead of what have been the sort of more traditional beauty standards of African cultures and Latino cultures, where fecundity goddesses are much more... Fecundity goddesses, aka thick women. They're much more common in those cultures. And because, I mean, fertility goddesses and things like that, thick thighs, like more rounded tummies, bigger boobs. I've got a real issue with this body shaming, because it's re-whitening the beauty myth. And yeah, I'm okay. I'm fine with making natural curvature of breasts more the norm again. But you could have kept that same curvature on the Wind Fury Harpy and changed the bra instead of just totally changing what they did. I'm up to 70 now, Fadrik. You jinxed it, but that's very funny. Let's face it, there's still a lot of racism in art. There's still a lot of racism in art. And this is not helping it. It's not. That's true, Helen. That's absolutely true. So, as were crosses and arrowheads in fields. Pretty much, Oron. Pretty much. Every time they cast a woman who doesn't look like the Daisy Ridley to Jennifer Lawrence scale, it's a statement instead of it just being, we thought she was the best actress. Well, like that's true. The reason that, bigger women back in the day were seen to be more beautiful is that if you're starving, you can't deliver a healthy baby. Now, keep in mind that was not what most people looked like back then either. Who, Jade DX? Gene, I agree. I think that people, anytime there's like a stirring of the loins in a female character, oh, she's got to go away because that's power, right? And so they keep insisting that women practically look childlike because then, they're not. And hey, I don't want to disrespect women who are naturally skinny, who are naturally more slender. I think everybody should be part of this. I don't think it should be all one thing, no matter what it is. And the fact that calls for diversity, starting in like 2014, led to this period where every woman had to be a 5'8" B cup white brunette. Bye, Otaku Cat. That's, you know, that's not diversity. Okay, let's be fair. There were a lot of butch women. I mean, Ripley in Alien's kind of butch. Like, there were butch women in Tank Girl. Nerds were okay with butch. I grew up, Helen, I was a teenager during heroin chic in the 90s. It freaking sucked. See, I grew up where it was like half of the guys in school had like Kate Moss in their locker and the other half were like listening to Sir Mix-a-Lot. Sir Mix-a-Lot, of course, is I like big butts and I cannot lie. Ripley was totally hot. Yeah, Sarah Connor. There's a place in nerddom for butch women. And I maintain there are a lot of nerdy guys. I knew what you meant, Oram, but I'm just saying there's more tolerance even there than and Garrett, there's nothing wrong with being attracted. I think Jennifer Lawrence is very pretty. To me, the woman who played what's her name in the From Dusk Till Dawn TV show, Santanica Pandemonium, I think she's freaking gorgeous. Like, she's sexy as anything. I'd like to see a lot more of that in gaming. You know, women who look like Nicki Minaj and like women who look like Santanica. Damn, we need more of that in gaming. Like, cause first of all, she's a great freaking character. Goblin. I don't think that's quite how it works. Oh, we're at $135 now. $135. This is like a fucked up PBS pledge break. We're talking about boobs and butts and raising money. We might have hit Nirvana. Yes. What is it? Aiza? Is that how you pronounce her first name? But Gonzalez, that's her. She's phenomenal. She's so hot. Oh my God, she's so hot. I want more of that in gaming. A lot of people like her, Hans. See, there's just, like Chaos, that was just speculation. And I think Tom Holland's adorable. So, but I mean, there's Beyonce. See, I think Beyonce is absolutely beautiful too, but I take a lot of crap for saying that because she like treats her hair and stuff like that. And I think that's totally up to her. I just think she's an absolutely stunning woman. Yeah, same type, Odysseus, same type. Like Chaos, classic Lara Croft, who was Latina inspired. Like, she looked Latina. Yeah, I'd like her back too, thanks. Like, that's the thing. They whitewashed Lara Croft. They whitewashed her, and nobody's saying it. Salma Hayek, gorgeous as well. Like, there's so much more to beauty than we are able to experience in gaming right now. Like, so much more. I mean, I even think Jennifer Hudson is like she is a very beautiful woman. She doesn't have the sexiness that other people exude, but I think Jennifer Hudson is a very beautiful woman. She's got a very pretty face. I love Beyonce. I actually thought, Kelly from Destiny's Child was like actually prettier, but that doesn't matter. They're all like freaking beautiful. That's like saying like choose between an Alfa Romeo and a Lamborghini. Like, they're all amazing. Um, um, my understanding was the Destiny's Child thing, Oron, she didn't break up the band. They all wanted to go their separate ways because there's a long story behind that. Um, See, Jack, okay, there's a better example of a very butch character. I was with you, Bryant. Miranda was my least favorite female character in Mass Effect. I hadn't seen Chuck yet, so I didn't get it. Um, but Jet, no, I haven't, Oron. I think that's on a network we don't get up here. I haven't even seen Harlots yet. And people have been saying you have to watch Harlots. And I've seen some screenshots from that show. That would be an awesome Cara Patches. But I've seen some screenshots from Harlots, and I'm like, hello, boobs. Why have I not watched this? I'm gonna try to see Spider-Man tonight too. Depends on how tired I am. I'm so. See you, Fadrik. Okay, a lot of other people. Okay, Viennicus, share. Like I'm sharing. I'm saying way too much about myself. Jack does, but Jack is butch. I mean, I actually like one of my favorite underrated characters was Hannah the Hammer from Fable 2. Oh yeah, Oron? Cuz I mean, we talked about Mina Okafor from The Resident. And we should talk about her more cuz that woman is freaking gorgeous. Miranda warmed on me by the end. Miranda, I came to like Miranda at the end, and her last line was completely perfect. Pardon the pun. I just immediately, yes, Gurren Lagann, yeah, with, what's her name, Yuko? Starfish, exactly. Exactly. Okay, good, like Chaos, you know Hannah the Hammer. I loved Hannah the Hammer. She was such a good character, and she gets no love. Yeah, they went overboard on Miranda, way too fanboy. And like if we're talking about perfect women, like Evie's Evie? Yeah, Evie as opposed to Eva. Wally. Yeah, the redhead with the underboob, right? Like Chaos? I love Beyonce's voice. I'm a sucker for Mezzo Sopranos, period. But yeah, I love Beyonce's voice. Well, that outfit became. I really struggled with that outfit because, like, she's the older girl in that anime, but that outfit inspired like a bunch of 16-year-olds to run around Anime North with like underboob, and I was like, I hope they're taped in. But I saw a lot of older guys perving. Killjoy's, oh my god, Killjoy's is back like next week. It's back like middle of July. And yes, Hannah John Kamen, Hans, she's stunning on screen. She's even more stunning in person. She is a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous woman. Yeah, she was. And I get why girls identified with her. And in a perfect world, yes, Joker and Edie OTP for sure. Oh, cool, Gene. Yeah, contraltos are their own thing, aren't they? But yeah, like in a perfect world, 16-year-olds should be able to cosplay Yoko, and there's no problem. I haven't watched Stranger Things season 3 yet. No spoilers. In our world, 16-year-olds cosplaying Yuko, there were issues, and I don't blame them. I wanted to hug Hannah too. She was just so cute. She was so cute. Wait. Okay, that link isn't safe for work. Okay, she said that. She's been in something else, hasn't she, Oron? Oh yeah, she was Sweet Shellcore. I actually fangirled her about that. I'm like, I gotta talk about that. And Hannah was like, yeah, Dark Souls fans are... she said it took a while to get used to it, but she says Dark Souls fans, once she kind of got it, she says they're intense, but it's a great fandom. Wait, this sounds familiar. Those are some really... oh, okay. Now she's looking even more familiar, or on... yeah. See, a lot of the girls I went to school with had that hair, the braided hair. And I thought that was just, like, perfect femininity at the time. Oh! $123 from goal. That means we only need one more person to come in at the $125 level, and Ed is cosplaying a green meep, which means I have to make the costume over the weekend. But yeah, Bleach is actually Bleach is one of those animes that is very divisive among anime fans, because some people insist that Bleach is just crap. Other people are like, no, that's why we like it. All right. Concrete Blonde, yeah. Yeah, Borderlands, I can't get into the game, but the character designs are great. And I don't know why. Oh, don't wish you could pledge more Starfish. I appreciate everything. That's why I tried to make some of the things like affordable. One Piece is cute. See, that's the thing about a lot of anime. It doesn't overstay its welcome because of the way Japanese media works. Bleach went on quite a ways. I mean, Death Note fell apart eventually too, and I know that's heresy, but yeah. Because of Gearbox, like Chaos. Oh, guys, don't apologize. You give what you can give. I appreciate the support. I kind of like that this time around, Boss Fight is being funded by more, like so far, like smaller donors as opposed to, Lady Bits had a couple of people who dumped in like a few grand. And I didn't know how to feel about that. Like, I appreciate that, but I'm glad that people now, it's all like, it's, the big donations are hundreds of dollars instead of thousands. Patches, I agree. I don't know who this person is, like Chaos. One Piece is so, I've only seen the first season. Colonial Marines was angering. But I agree. Bleach is very divisive, Cass. Yeah, I agree. Once Light Kun got killed, it lost something. It really lost something. Sorry, L, right, not light. I get confused. Two L's. But I have a little, what's his name, Ryuk, the demon. I have a little plushie of him. I loved the demons in Death Note. Not nearly enough of them. All right. I want to go, but I feel like I should stay until we hit goal. Because, like, it's $123. Everybody who can, like, just spam your social media. Let them know we're waiting. We're almost there. Because then we can try to push for 25 grand in the last week. And that's ambitious, but it's doable. At this point, I'm just happy. Like, it's in storage now. Patches. I used to bring out my Ryuk plushie for Rosh Hashanah because he likes apples. And that's the apple holiday. So I used to put him on the table next to the apples because they were real apples. They tasted good, and I thought he'd be happy. Because I am too. I absolutely do not understand my inability to get into Borderlands. It's one of those weird things. It's just like, I like Watch Dogs, I like Saints Row, I don't like Grand Theft Auto. See, Sailor Moon, there's another thing. Really liked Gem as a kid, couldn't get into Sailor Moon. Well, that's a cool character. What is that? I closed the Frasm. No, I didn't. Okay, there we go. Good. What is that comic, Hans? See, that's her. She'd be awesome. She'd be awesome, Oron. I mean, I thought the woman who played Elektra in Daredevil was freaking gorgeous too. So maybe I have a type. I don't know. Maybe that's the problem. Helen, I was just too old for Sailor Moon. Yeah, I knew that, Dragon Water. It's funny. Maybe that's why, I mean, Diablo... JRH, I can't get into Overwatch either. It just, I think the character designs are... I did like the Misfits. Their songs were better. I still have my Jazz doll from back in the day. Because talk about awesome character design. I can't get into Overwatch the game either. It just... And yeah, exactly, Horan. I'm so, I guess because I've been gaming for so long, I'm so picky in what's going to hold me. And right now, I'm just, the last like action style game that held me, like AAA game, I really enjoyed Odyssey. Spider-Man. I loved Spider-Man. And nothing else has really held me. I don't know, Dragon Water. That was such a thing in the 80s. Patches, maybe that's it. I don't know. I'm not into those. I need a single player experience that I can get comfortable with the game before I jump into multiplayer. I think that's it. Yeah, see, like, Chaos, a really good friend of mine is trying to suck me into Destiny. And the Destiny lore I really like. Bungie has done a pretty good job with the lore of that game. But I don't know. Anything games as service kind of puts me off. Like something you can never beat. Maybe that's it too, Goblin Hero. Wow, all these animes I've never even heard of. Oh, did it, Starfish? I don't know. I just, like, I was even a bit intimidated to play games on Twitch because gaming is so private for me. It's my go away and think time. But I'm enjoying Twitch a lot more than I thought I was going to. I really like the experience. But yeah, yesterday's was kind of funny because I normally get the feeling, a single player game from the 1990s. Oh God. I always get confused with the 80s and 90s. And in the 90s, I was so into fighting games that I'm trying to think of single player. Well, technically, didn't the first Baldur's Gate come out in 99? Gears 5 Online, I've had mixed experience with Gears Online. I've had a lot of fun with it. But I also find it frustrating because I'm okay, but I'm not good, and I don't want to have to memorize maps, and I just die a lot. Planescape Torment came out in the 1990s, right? Because Torment's a game, like, as soon as I start, it just sucks me in. Oh, Starfish, you got that. See, I love the fact that, those support classes were a thing. Yep. So Planescape Torment is my 90s game 90s single player game that I just can't quit. That game is still as magical for me now as it was back then. I'm going to tweet that we're only $123 away from goal. Ha! There's a hashtag on Twitter, if nudes were currency. That's funny. Oh, come on, keyboard. Sorry, guys. I'm tweeting. Now I gotta get the project up for the link. Should have it memorized by now, but I don't. Oh, haha. I forgot it was on the other screen. All right. Wait, wrong thing. Okay. See, Starfish, I liked, when I played WoW, I liked doing support stuff. I liked playing a druid. Really, Oleg? You keep getting killed? You have to change your playstyle then, or maybe you're not, you didn't allocate your points for your playstyle. Because I don't remember that many. Okay, I mean, dying in those games, they are more challenging than now. You kind of just have to accept that. But are you out of the what do they call it? The mausoleum? I haven't seen that, Kaz. Yeah, I like playing support. I like helping people and stopping them from dying. And the problem with WoW is you didn't get any XP for that. So my big honkin' Tauren Druid didn't get very far. I got bored. Hey, Arrogant Media. I'm looking forward to the Outer Worlds. I'm looking forward to Cyberpunk too. Like, it's weird. Normally, I'm not like this, but the more people scream about that game, the more I want to play it. Which is not like me at all. That's not normal for me. Oh, and there's stuff going on in Ontario provincial politics too that's a dumpster fire. Of course. Oh, okay. You're trying to find the Ragman, right, Oleg? Do you have party members beyond Mort? Try exploring other places before you go there. Or don't, Thanks, Dragon Water. Yeah, KLRG, I don't know what it is. I think part of it is I'm really pulling for CDPR now. I'm really pulling for CDPR now because I really think I've watched them mature from game to game. Like, actually understand game design more and more. And if they can come even close to the way The Witcher 3 played, it's going to be an amazing game with that aesthetic setting. Okay, you just have Mort. Because you've met Anna, right? Because she's eventually playable. You may want to just explore the town a little bit more. Because, yeah, that, forget that places, but the sort of, the Ragman area can be a little bit difficult until you've leveled up a bit. Now, the thing is, don't forget, Oleg, dying is part of that game. So you don't have to reload. It's not permadeath. You just wake up in the in the starter zone again. And that's the way it's supposed to be. That's the way the game's intended to be played. Just makes you realize how much harder games were back then. I think the thing about CDPR is the accusations are so off base that it just, wow, this game actually looks pretty good. They're being actually pretty inclusive, and they've learned that this isn't a Polish novel anymore. They've got to be inclusive. Oh dear. Oh man. Helen, I didn't see that one before. I give CDPR credit too for owning the horrible crunch on Witcher 3. The fact that they're even trying, I think they haven't gone far enough, but they're trying to work on that. That's at least something. Like, yeah, see, yeah, I thought that when they said, we're working on being able to play as a trans person, I thought that, like, Chaos is ahead of me. I thought that it actually makes sense to be able to play as a trans person in Cyberpunk because transhumanism is such a major part of Cyberpunk that I was glad to see them doing it on artistic grounds instead of just buckling to yeah, exactly, just buckling to the screaming. Exactly, exactly. Like cyberpunk is all about like, cyberpunk coined the term meat space, right? It it's a very different world, and CDPR does nihilism well. So Metal Gear 2 is pretty challenging. Oh, I'm yawning. Apologies. So I could put something up on Facebook so that it won't go anywhere. And Facebook is killing my bandwidth. All right, so. Wow, I can't type today. I'm so torn about doing like a small additional Facebook fundraiser for Boss Fight because of the way it eats Kickstarter links. Drives me freaking crazy. Upload. There we go. Close Facebook. Okay. McCad, I agree. That's a good comparison. That it looks like what Shadowrun should have looked like. They are scary looking, but Cyberpunk is kind of a scary aesthetic. See ya, Goblin Hero. I think people aren't donating, so I'll just live stream longer. Intersex like chaos. Viennicus, it's funny. I said exactly that I'd gotten that feedback from, because I do a thing in my lecture at Sheridan on gender and gameplay about how the myth in gaming is that female playable characters don't sell. But the data actually says that... Hi, Wilcox! Yes, we would like chaos. Because the data actually says that by the time young men hit high school, they don't care if they play as a man or a woman. But women, female adults, actually still care very, very much. Depending on the universe, they're called different things like chaos. And so I actually show that, Horizon Zero Dawn did very, very well, that female playable characters not selling is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Then, I tell the story about the fact that, a lot of guys I talk to, and I said, this is very not politically correct. I have a trigger warning on my talk, so I can say this stuff. My head looks good. Thank you. But I say, a lot of guys say, hey, if I'm going to stare at an ass for 60 hours, it better be a nice ass. Because this is the course I lecture to. It's a lot of business and marketing students as well as some designers. It's a catch-all course. So they want to know about selling games and marketing games. And so I showed the difference between signifiers and systems and, what genres more women play, ludo genres more women play as opposed to men. And all that's really, like Ghost Rider, Wilcox, women who look like Ghost Rider, that'd be kind of cool. Well, Frost kind of has fire hair now, doesn't she? Like Cold fire hair? See, Gareth, I think as soon as a game is labeled mature, people should just stop complaining. It's for adults. All right, I wonder about that too. Yep. Try to think. There have been characters like that. I mean, let me find Frost from Mortal Kombat. Make sure I'm not wrong. Oh no, she's got kind of spiky hair. Oh, but it's got kind of an aura on it. Okay, I see why I misconstrued it. She used to have kind of like liquid nitrogen thing going on, yeah? That's interesting, Helen. Because a lot of RPGs, I play as like a female character first time around, just because I can, and usually like I'm on a deadline, and that's the one that I want to. Oh, the creature creator was the only reason to play Spore, Viennicus. But then if I do a second playthrough, I usually play as a monster or as like a pug ugly dude. Just because it makes me laugh. You know, Oron, that's a good point. Because I do feel like some of that, like I do think that some of that fantasy armor just looks ridiculous. Even some of the armor in Witcher 3 was very silly looking, but it got kind of funny to have Geralt walking around in Ponzi armor. Oh, you missed that whole discussion, Wilcox. You have much agreement in this chat. You didn't play as Khajiit? Like Chaos? I'm all about Khajiit. Life is good. I took that exploit too. I discovered that. It's like, hey, wait a minute. New Vegas is still the best Bethesda Fallout game, in my opinion. The Khajiit are not scum. Khajiit did nothing wrong. Khajiit is innocent of this crime. Yeah, Gareth, I read that she was concerned about a female playable character in King's Quest. And it's like, no, we want to play as a woman. Oh, he's playing Bloodstained? I want to play that. Khajiit has boss fight if you have coin. Yeah, I've totally been at Khajiit this month. Ah, I see you want to play with magic. I don't, okay. It's not that I don't like Elder Scrolls. They're not, the Elder Scrolls games are fantasy sandboxes, not truly RPGs. I haven't played Bloodstained yet. And people are raving about it. Oh, that was the other one you recommended, right? Ritual of the Night? Come on, pledges. I may have to stop, guys. I'm going to go for another 28 minutes, then stop. Because I haven't eaten today, and I'm starting to get really loopy. Oh, oh, see, okay. Oh, cool. Okay, Lycaos. You may have to remind me of those titles, because well, actually, I'll write them down. Oh, wait, where's my... Okay. Ritual of the Night and... What's the other game? I haven't played, what's that, not Numenera, the other one. Blanking on it. The other isometric game. Oh, Curse of the Moon is the other one, okay. No, I'm trying to remember the name of that. Oh, God. No, not Tyranny. The one that got in trouble that somebody put a joke on a tombstone. And I'm blanking on the name. Pillars of Eternity! That's what it's called. I still haven't played that one. It's Pillars of Eternity on Switch. Oh, tired my yawning. Oh. Okay, 25 minutes and I gotta call it. Yeah, I bought City Skylines during the patches warning you the tutorial is rough. Hellblade is a wonderful game. It's freaky, but Momo is actually over here tapping his foot. What is it, Momo? Do you want to come say hi? What is it, Momo? I know it's been almost 3 hours. Want to come say hi to everybody? You're good at making money. Come on, Momo. Come say hi. Come say hi, Momo. No, Momo. Come say hi. Come say hi. Come say hi to everybody. Everybody loves you. Yeah. Cat commercial. All right. Here we go. Oh, like Hellblade actually consulted with people who have psychosis and work their symptoms into the game. Play with surround sound and headphones, though. It is like the sound is fantastic. Here we go, Momos. Here's the Momos. Hi, the Momos. Yeah. Yeah, Momos. There's the Momos. Hi. Pulling out all the stops now, Amo. There we go. There. Yeah. Momos. Yeah. Momos has been having some allergies last few days. He's been a little snuffly, but a little snuffly is so much better than he used to be. There you go, Momos. Goodbye. Yeah. Here we go. Hey. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He has my thing. K-Allergy, I think it's supposed to be rough because it's like, what is going on? But Hellblade is a good game. Don't worry about the see, Momo, you got tipped. Yeah. Um the roguelike elements where you can only die so many times is kind of a fake out. It's more of a psychological thing than anything. Oh, like, yeah, the audio is fantastic. City Skylines, I will admit. Thanks, Wilcox. Love you back. Um, City Skylines is sort of the closest thing to classic SimCity. I've started to get the hang of it finally, and I just built my first subway. I was very excited. Yeah, Viennicus, exactly. Um, Momo might have gotten sniffly because we still can't quite get the old lady air freshener smell out of the room where we're shooting boss fight, and he was in there. We were shooting a bunch of cat stuff on green screen, and he was in there sleeping like the whole time, so I think he might have just breathed in too much chemical. I was gonna dress Link up like a Mountie for Canada Day, but we lost the hat. Thanks, Buddha. We have till 5 o'clock today, so I think we'll make it. I just wanted to hit gold today, like during the stream, so we could all go yay and cheer together. But I'm getting really like headachy. I've been not doing self-care well this week at all. Whoa, Sea of Solitude is out? That whole thing, the way they marketed that game was so weird. Fixing the traffic problems, you do definitely have to plan ahead with traffic if you don't want to bulldoze a ton of stuff later on. Oh, God. See, I was scared of that, Helen. We, like, clean like crazy. Well, for this stretch goal, Ed's going to cosplay for the campaign closing. Oh, that sucks, Helen. But the final video, the campaign close, I'm working on it. I have to see if it's going to work. It's ambitious, I'll say. Oh! And we have... What is it? And they smell like rotting beef carcasses. Oh my God, I'm trying to remember Kilted Yaxman. I got totally into Breath of the Wild. Oh yeah, and we have to clean up after them, and their saddle sores are the best. We proudly wear women's clothing, and searing sand blows up our skirts. You could never do that song today. And the buzzards, they soar overhead, and poisonous snakes will devour us whole. Our bones will bleach in the sun, and we will probably go to... And that is our great reward for being the Royal Canadian Kilted Yaxman. Oh yeah, we talk about Breath of the Wild a lot. Ren and Stimpy was great. Oh no, Helen. Yeah. Fleas are tough to get rid of. You basically have to have the whole place fumigated. We had that happen. We fumigated our place before we moved in for that reason, because we saw some stuff that was sketch. I agree, Arrogant Media. That whole style that they nerf slightly to do things like uh, everything now. I used to have a Magic Nose Goblins t-shirt. I loved Ren and Stimpy. How'd you do with the camel? The camel took me a bit. That one was tough in Breath of the Wild. I actually found the camel fight harder than Calamity Ganon. There's some funny stuff on Twitter today. I haven't finished Sekiro. I had to have a life. I started doing this crowdfund and oh my god. Okay, for people who don't know what spocking your fivers means, people are taking the last build design and taking the portrait of Wilfrid Laurier and making him look like Spock. I'll try to find a picture of it for you guys. It's so cool. Oh, they're... People... Oh, they've done it. They've made him Snape, too. That's funny. You can see how reverent we are of our money up here. My God. So many pop-ups on websites now. Here we go. I'll show you guys the Spock bill. Here we go. Ready? There it is. They turn our money into Spock, which is pretty excellent. Yeah, the electric dude with the camel. It was, it started a few years ago, JRH, but it's kept going. Cash is less prevalent in Canada than it is in the US, but people still use it just because, like, at festivals and stuff like that, there's still cash. Our like ATM and like direct payment, like point of sale fees are pretty high, so some places don't take them. Maybe that's it, Oron, that once everything started being loonies, we were just like, all right, our money is jokes. Yeah. William Shatner is the actual, well, he was Canadian. I think he's an American citizen now. All right. 12 more minutes. Yeah. You gotta dodge. I just found when I dodged Oleg on that, I ran into the pillars in that area a lot, which frustrated me. But I finally got him. My favorite thing to do in Breath of the Wild might have been chasing the dragons. That and shakalaka. I love that guy. Shatner blocks a lot of people on Twitter patches. Shatner is kind of crazy. Did I magnesis the pillars? I don't remember. Part of the problem when I first attempted the camel was that I wasn't powered up. I hadn't found the master sword or anything like that yet. So I left and I roamed around a bit and I leveled up, and then it was much easier. Yeah, no, you chase there's all these dragons and it's like very peaceful, and you like get their scales and stuff. Sekiro's just the hardcore gamer comes out of me in that game. It's like, must beat this. And people have told me that like continuing to bash your head against the wall with the boss is actually not the way to play it. You play in sort of short, intense spurts, and it's better because once you get tired, your reaction times start and your concentration starts going. You don't beat the dragons, you just get their scales, right? Oh, Garrett, that's a loaded question now. Like the Commonwealth, everything, like Australia, Canada, it'll never happen with the way politics in the UK is right now. Oh, Ari, I remember what you're talking about. Yes, that fight. Because it's like cursed or something like that, and you have to free her. Oh my god. I am on the second last boss on Cuphead, and I had to do other things. So now I have to go back and like replay the entire game. So I'm waiting for the DLC. Maybe it's out yet? I don't know, but I'm waiting for the DLC to go back. Because I enjoyed Cuphead a lot. I admit I enjoyed Cuphead more than I enjoy Sekiro, but Sekiro, I ended up buying Dark Souls 1 on my Switch. I finally got a memory card, and so that's what I kind of got diverted to. And admittedly, original Dark Souls is still my favorite From Software game. Oh no, Adrian. Yeah, that's right. Oh, like now I'm remembering it. I did do that. Yeah, that's good. I'll wait for the Cuphead DLC, and that'll be excuse for me to go back and finally finish it. Because I really enjoyed that game. Helen, it's got to be tough because it's just limbo right now, right? Like nobody knows what's actually going to happen. Do I look at some of these Twitter hashtags? Okay, that's really interesting. It almost looks like, and I know I'm getting a little tinfoil hatty, but I did get the ancient course. And I don't remember how. I think there's places you can buy them. Or I just did a lot of grinding and eventually they dropped. I don't remember, but I did get them. Helen, I agree. I think there's going to be another election. It's interesting. I'm looking at this. There's a Trump parade fail hashtag and there's a thing about like Trump history or something like that's not trending anymore. But a lot of these things in this tag are like 10 hours old, 17 hours old. And it's almost like Twitter suppressed that hashtag until today. I hope I'm wrong with that one. Five more minutes. So everybody get your, if you have any last questions or anything like that, ask now. Well, 4 minutes now. Oh, wow. Somebody burned a flag yesterday? Yeah, it's going to get bad, Ari. Yeah, that Trump said that the army took over the airports during the Revolutionary War. Airplanes weren't invented yet. I have had a pet bunny. He was a mini lop named Elvis. Silver mini lop. I'm not against gaming guides, Oleg. I just think you shouldn't need them to beat a game. A game should tell you how to play it. 42, Sean. Yeah. Sorry, Oren. I was off on all week. I've been off. Yeah, he said that. Beelzebub, no. Social justice warrior, very possibly. Or on. I'm actually, what is that game? 12 minutes? The one they demoed. It was at Xbox. I'm actually interested in that. Try to think of some of the others. Cyberpunk is probably my big AAA one. Watch Dogs Legion, I'm actually looking forward to. There's a bunch of little indie ones, but I wrote them down somewhere and now I can't find the... Is this it? No, this is my transposing the dance steps for the Shama dance. See, there's a very solid reason that I'm not doing Beelzebub's origin story that I can't talk about yet. Because the project hasn't been announced. No, that's favorite bosses. Ghostwire Tokyo. That's another one that I'm looking forward to. Valfaris, Genesis Noir, El Hijo. Is that how it's pronounced? Conan Chop Chop. I actually thought it looked really cute too. I found my list. Sparkle Pony we are going to do. Sparkle Pony's origin we are going to do. Oh no, Helen, that's cute. Yeah, Beelzebub's backstory is eventually going to be told in another project. I'll leave it there. That's cute though, Helen. Kid mispronounces are cute. Oh my god, John Bernthal's dog was adorable. So cute. Yeah, the reveal didn't say much, but the developer was adorable, so... Oron, you're actually spot on. Yes, it's absolutely okay. That's exactly where I wanted, like, that kind of thing is exactly where I wanted to go with it, so... Alright, it's 2 o'clock. So on that note, thanks everybody. We'll hopefully hit this by 5 o'clock. If we do hit it by 5 o'clock, Monday's video hopefully will be Ed the Sock as a green meep. So let's just keep pushing another 3 hours. We should be able to do it in another 3 hours. Ed says he might extend it till midnight. But yeah, so maybe we'll have fun times waiting for us on Monday. Okay, everybody. Thanks for watching, and now I will do this strange multi-step process that's ending a YouTube stream. Okay, thanks everybody.